lowering the head, raising the eyebrows, winking the eye, approaching, holding an object in the hand. 4. There are people who are not attached to colors or shapes or postures, but who are only attached to language, soft sounds, elegant words, speech appropriate to the circumstance, replying to a thought, honoring orders, capable of moving people's hearts. 5. There are people who are not attached to colors or shapes or positions or soft sounds, but who are only attached to fine smooth furs, gentle to the skin, softening the flesh, refreshing the body in the heat and warming it in the cold. 6. There are people who are attached to all 5 things listed above at once. 7. There are people who are not attached to these 5 things but who are only attached to the human appearance, male or female, even if they were to enjoy the 5 lusts mentioned above. When they come to lose the loved person, they refuse to separate from them and they renounce the 5 objects of enjoyment so esteemed by the world so as to follow their loved one in death. But the 9 notions of the horrible reject these 7 kinds of lust. 1. The notion of death eliminates lust for postures and lust for fine language in particular. 2. The notion of the bloated corpse, the notion of the torn-up corpse and the notion of the scattered corpse eliminate lust for shapes in particular. 3. The notion of the bloody corpse, the notion of the bluish corpse and the notion of the rotting corpse eliminate the lust for colors in particular. 4. The notion of the corpse reduced to bones and the notion of the burned corpse eliminate the lust for fine and gentle touch in particular. Thus the 9 notions eliminate these various lusts and also lust for the loved person. But it is the notion of the devoured corpse, the notion of the burned corpse and the notion of the corpse reduced to bones that preferentially eliminate lust for an individual because it is hard to see how a person can be attached to devoured, scattered or white bony remains. 2. Diminishing of hatred and delusion. By means of the meditation on the 9 notions, the minds of lust are eliminated, but hatred and delusion are also decreased. If one is attached to the body, it is because of delusion, an error consisting of taking what is impure to be pure. But now, with the help of the 9 notions of the horrible, the interior of the body is analyzed and the impure nature of the body is seen. From now on, error decreases. As error decreases, lust diminishes and, as lust diminishes, hatred also decreases. It is because a person loves their own body that they experience hatred when the latter is menaced. But now that the yogin has contemplated the impurities of his own body and is disgusted by them, he no longer loves his own body and, not loving his own body, he does not have hatred when the latter is menaced. 3. Realization of great benefits. As the threefold poison of lust, hate and delusion decreases, the entire mountain of the 98 perverted tendencies is shaken and the yogin gradually progresses towards body. Finally, by the diamond-like concentration, he breaks the mountain of the fetters to pieces. Although the 9 notions are meditations on the horrible, one depends on them to realize great benefits. Similarly, when a repulsive corpse is floating in the sea, the shipwrecked sailor clings to it to save himself from the waves. V. Nature, object and distribution of the 9 notions. Question. What is the intrinsic nature of these 9 notions, what is their object and where are they contained? Answer. As their nature, they have the grasping of characteristics. They are contained in the aggregate of form. They are also contained in a small part of the foundation of mindfulness on the body, in the desire realm or also in the first, second and fourth dhyana. The person who has not yet renounced desire and who has a distracted mind belongs to the domain of the desire realm. The person who has renounced desire belongs to the domain of the form realm. 8 notions, those of the bloated corpse, etc., are contained in Kamadhatu and the first and second dhyanas. The notion of pure bone is contained in Kamadhatu, the first, second and fourth dhyanas. As there is a great deal of happiness in the third dhyana, this one is exempt from the notion of horror. The place of the 9 notions in the dharmas of the path. These 9 notions open the gate of the foundation of mindfulness on the body. Mindfulness of the body opens the gate of the other 3 foundations of mindfulness. The 4 foundations of mindfulness open the gate of the 37 auxiliaries to enlightenment. The 37 auxiliaries to enlightenment open the gate to the city of nirvana. Entering into nirvana, the suffering of sadness, sorrow, etc. are eliminated and, as the process of interdependency of the 5 aggregates has been destroyed, one enjoys the eternal bliss of nirvana. Second section, the 9 notions according to the Mahayana. Question. The Sravaka who meditates on the 9 notions in this way experiences disgust and wants to enter nirvana quickly. But the bodhisattva has compassion for all beings. He gathers all the attributes of the Buddha, saves all beings and does not seek to enter nirvana quickly. Then, by meditating on these 9 notions, why does he not fall into the class of an adept of the first 2 vehicles, i.e., that of the Sravakas and of the Pratyeka Buddhas? Answer. The bodhisattva feels compassion for beings. He knows that, because of the 3 poisons, passion, aggression and ignorance, beings experience mental and physical suffering in the present lifetime and in the future lifetime. The 3 poisons are not destroyed by themselves. And there is no other way to destroy them than to contemplate the inner and outer physical characteristics to which one is attached but that are repulsive. The 3 poisons are destroyed only after this contemplation. That is why the bodhisattva who wants to destroy the poison of lust contemplates the 9 notions so as to teach them to beings. The bodhisattva is like a person who, out of compassion for the ill, gathers all the medicines to cure them. To beings who love colors, the bodhisattva preaches the notion of the bluish corpse and, according to that to which they are attached, he explains the other notions of the horrible of which we have spoken above. This is how the bodhisattva practices the meditation on the horrible. Furthermore, the bodhisattva who is practicing these 9 notions with a mind of great compassion has the following thought. Not completely possessing all the attributes of the Buddha, I do not enter into nirvana. This would be using only one gate of the Dharma. But I should not keep to a single gate, I should use all the gates of the Dharma. This is why the bodhisattva practices the 9 notions without any restriction. When the bodhisattva practices these 9 notions, it may happen that thoughts of disgust rise up in him and he may say, "This horrible body is hateful and miserable. I want to enter nirvana." Then the bodhisattva has the following thought. The Buddhas of the 10 directions have said that all dharmas are empty of nature. But in emptiness, there is no impermanence. Then how could there be impurities? This meditation on the horrible is practiced only to destroy the error consisting of taking what is impure to be pure. These horrors that come from a complex of causes and conditions are without any intrinsic nature and all end up in emptiness. And so I cannot cling to these horrors that come from a complex of causes and conditions and are without intrinsic nature to allow me to enter into nirvana. As Vadasutra, moreover, it is said in a sutra, if there were no satisfaction derived from the visible, beings would not be attached to the visible. But because there is satisfaction deriving from the visible, beings are attached to the visible. If there were no defects in the visible, beings would not be revolted by the visible. But because there are defects in the visible, people are revolted by the visible. If there were no exit from the visible, beings would not come out of the visible. But because there is an exit from the visible, beings come out of the visible. Therefore satisfaction is the cause and condition of pure notions. This is why the bodhisattva does not pay attention to the horrible and abstains from entering nirvana prematurely. This ends the explanations of the 9 notions. End chapter 35.